You are listening to I'm Refocused podcast with your host, Shemaya Reed. This podcast is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. Now, let's tune into today's podcast.
This is I Am Refocused podcast, and today we have an awesome show for y'all. We have IDEA Public Schools today. Before we get to our special guest, Yvonne Anglada, I want to give a big shout out to Rico Rodriguez, and we have an awesome event coming up on August 27th. Doors open at 1 and close at 5 p.m. Rico is doing a back-to-school haircuts free, but elementary to middle school students only. So if y'all are here in San Antonio, make sure you come to Rockefeller's Barbershop and just support Rico, man. He's been our day one since last year, man, and we're going strong still. Today, we have Miss Yvonne Anglada, and she joined IDEA Public Schools of October 2012. How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, ma'am, and tell us a little backdrop. How did you come to IDEA Public Schools?
I began with IDEA Public Schools in October 2012, as you just said. At the time, I was working for a regular school district here in San Antonio, and learned all I had to learn about IDEA, and honestly, it just sounded too good to be true. And so inquisitive and just curious about it, I joined the school district in 2012, and it has been incredible since then. And this is going on my 6th year right now.
Everyone always asks this question: what is IDEA Public Schools? Tell us about that.
IDEA Public Schools is a public charter, and we began in the year 2000 in the Valley with a dream of two of our founders, Tom Torkelson and Joanne Gama, who started in a church in Westlaco, Texas, and noticed that our students had gaps and we needed to close them. And that dream turned out to be an exceptional dream. And currently we have schools here in San Antonio, in Austin, in the Valley, in El Paso, and Baton Rouge. And we have 79 schools and serve over 45,000 students.
That's a lot of students, right?
Yes, it is.
And tell us a little bit about what makes it unique. What makes IDEA Public Schools unique?
Our goal is to ensure that we get students to and through college. And I stress to and through because we can get them to college, but we need to ensure that they're successful once they get there. And so our curriculum from pre-K on to 12th grade is based on what do students need to be successful once they get into the doors of whatever university they want to attend. And so we have a ton of activities that are geared toward developing not only curriculum and academics, but the entire child.
And when you talk about the critical thinking skills and everything to prep them for these universities, what is some of the feedback that you guys are getting from parents when their kids are going to your schools?
The feedback that we are getting is many signs of appreciation. They are noticing the changes in their children almost immediately. The focus on the culture itself is unique to our schools, where students actually greet their teachers every day. We talk to them about eye contact, about shaking hands. We instill study skills and study habits that many students lack when they go to college. We talk about leadership, and we instill leadership through clubs and organizations as well, where the students actually lead them. And we have a curriculum that is not only AP, advanced placement, for our high school, but also pre-AP for our middle schools. And so they're exposed to the rigor that they're going to be needing by the time they get to high school, and to build up their transcripts and be confident that they are going to be successful once they get there. We don't stop there. We actually follow our students through college as well.
And also, to lead up to that statement, is there any prerequisite things that parents have to have or students have to be accepted to your school? Is there any testing involved?
Not at all. Our school is open. It's an open enrollment for all of our students. The only requirement is that they want to be with us, and hopefully that they stay with us for the entire 13 years.
And as you guys are prepping students K through 12, correct?
Pre-K through 12.
Pre-K to 12. what comes to mind, a success story, maybe someone who has attended college? Do you have a success story that pops up in your mind?
There are many success stories. Personally, I'm thinking of one of my students at IDEA Mission who was a dreamer, and her goal in 9th grade was to go to Harvard. And she is in Harvard right now, and she receives scholarships. Her total payment a year is $18. And she was totally prepared for the rigor and the challenges that would come her way. She is now a junior at Harvard and doing exceptionally well. But I see the commitment that grows with our students and the knowledge that a college education really does for them, and not only them, but for their families. And we have so many alums that have returned to IDEA to pay it forward. And we've hired teachers, and we have many of our staff that have attended IDEA schools, and each and every one of them are a success story.
That's amazing. And you spoke about giving back and how alums are coming back to reinvest in the future of the next generation. What kind of programs, because I heard you mention earlier in the segment about programs to teach the kids critical thinking and leadership skills. What are some of the programs that parents can learn about to get their kids involved?
Okay. Our pre-K through 5th program, which is what we call Academy, is geared to ensuring that students are ready to read by 1st grade. And I will tell you that our kindergartners can read that were with us last year. They have a curriculum that sets them up for middle school success. Our middle school is pre-AP, pre-advanced placement, which sets them up for success in high school. Our AP program in high school is pre-AP or advanced placement for all. We do not select our students. We do not test them into an AP program, and that is very different from any school. And so all of our students are exposed to advanced placement classes, which are, of course, 21st century critical thinking classes that focus on the writing and the reading and the rigor that's going to be needed. And all students are placed there. Our advanced placement students, our AP students, also take the test, the AP exam, and they can leave with 33 to 40 college credits, which is almost 2 years of college by the time they leave us.
Wow. That's an awesome deal. So if you're a parent out there in San Antonio, you make sure you go check out IDEA Public Schools. And I also want to get into the older kids, because it's pre-K to 12.
Yes, sir.
So in high school phase, what's some of the things that you guys do to prep them to have that college mentality once they finish?
Well, we actually start in 6th grade with field lessons.
Okay.
And field lessons are university or college visits that we take all of our students on. For example, at IDEA Najim, we took our 6th graders to visit schools here in San Antonio. So they went to UTSA and Incarnate Word and St. Mary's and various universities here. Only because of their age, we didn't want to take them too far. Our 7th graders went to Houston, and they stayed overnight and visited Rice University, University of Houston, and different universities. As they get older, we expose them to various universities that go a little further and a little longer time. We took our juniors to Illinois and to Indiana a couple of years ago at a different school, and they visited Notre Dame, University of Illinois, University of Chicago. And the theme around that is to make sure that our students are exposed to different universities, the size, the programs, the curriculums that are offered, so that by the time they are juniors, they actually have visited 30, 40 universities and can make decisions that are based on their preferences.
So you guys start them really young.
Yes, sir, we do.
What are some of the reactions? Because I can only imagine if I was in middle school and I was going on these field trips, I would be very inspired to know my decision, because you're basically helping them make a choice by the time they're juniors and seniors. Mm-hmm. So what's some of the reactions from the kids when they go on these trips?
Well, I will tell you, we've been in session for 1 week now, and we have about 200 new students this year on our campus, and they're already asking, when are we going on these field lessons? They love them. Our students that were there last year share the experiences of visiting universities. And when I say visit, I do want to say that they go into the lecture halls. They go into the commons areas. They do interact with the professors. So they get a real picture of what university life is. And so the students are very, very excited to attend these lessons and learn about them. And throughout the year, we also take virtual tours where we start teaching them what is a bachelor's degree, what is a master's degree, what does registration look like, and prepare our students. We talk to them about college essays, college entrance, SAT, ACT, and we really, really ensure that they know the components that it's going to take for it to be admitted. But not only that, we talk about the importance of being and getting your degrees and just a better life that is out there for us when we do that.
And the toughest part for any college student is picking a major. What's some of the tips and tools you equip them with to kind of start early, not just being exposed, but kind of narrow it down what kind of field you want to get into? What's some of the tools you guys provide for that?
Well, we have different electives based on things that we think that are current and that are marketable. And so, for example, next year when we have ninth graders, we'll start hopefully with robotics and engineering classes for the students. We also poll our students. Different schools, different regions may have different needs and different interests. So we do a lot of conversations with the kids. We meet almost daily with them. And when I say we're talking about the administrators, not only the teachers. And so we talk to our kids. We poll our students. We ask them their interests. We look at what's marketable. And we try to gear all of our electives and our extracurriculars towards those areas so that we can get exposure. And we have a lot of conversations with our students on what is a major. We also really tell them that the first 2 years are basics, where they will all be basically in the same classes, and then they could change their minds on majors. It's a difficult transition, and as they get a little older, of course, they're all going to be changing their mind. So we walk them through those different changes that they may be experiencing.
Man, I wish I went to this school, to be honest.
Me too.
But in all seriousness, these kids are getting access that most schools are not really doing right now. And number one, I can see it's the preparation starting very young. And as they're growing, going to each level, each grade, they're also picking up another set of tools.
Absolutely they are.
When they graduate, what is the set of tools that you hope that they keep for the rest of their life?
I hope that they keep the commitment to the community for the rest of their life. I hope that they continue to be lifelong learners. It shouldn't end at any point. We should all try to get better. And I hope they keep the civic mindedness of that what we do when no one is watching is what is important, and the reality that they are cared for and they are loved, and that they pass that forward to people they may interact with.
And we talked about the kids' reaction. What has been some of the colleges' reaction when IDEA Public Schools go on these field trips? What's some of the feedback that they're giving you guys? I
think at the beginning they were a little apprehensive of having 12 and 13-year-olds in their lecture halls. But I will tell you, they are totally amazed with the behaviors and the questions that our students bring to these universities. Again, there is so much knowledge that goes into prepping our students, and they've been hearing it not only from 6th grade on. They hear it in pre-K and K, and we have pre-K groups that they have university names, so they're not strangers to colleges or universities. And so when they go in, I think the universities are just really hoping, I hope these kids come here and they stay here and they want to attend our different universities and stay here for the long run.
And also, the kids going to school, are there after school programs, any sports or any clubs that they can get involved in? And
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What kind of activities do they have?
Yes, we do have sports. We have all sports. We have flag football to soccer to volleyball to basketball to track. Many schools have boxing. We had boxing. And again, our students tell us exactly what they would like to have, and if the interest is high, we actually do follow their interest. And so it really does depend on that, but we do have all sports. We do compete with other schools. We're a charter league organization. We follow the no pass, no play regulations. We have clubs. We are starting clubs as we speak in our school right now, where students gave inputs, teachers gave inputs. They're signing up. I signed up this morning actually at 7:30 for various clubs, from theater to cooking club to a music club to cheerleading to wanting to be a mascot. So we do not fall short of any activities that we know that our students actually need and actually want.
That's amazing, because if you can play sports but have a amazing experience, IDEA Public Schools is where to go.
Absolutely, it is.
And when it comes to parents having involvement with their kids, what's some of the things, toolkits, tips that you give parents so that they can stay in the loop as far as the progress of their children going to IDEA Public Schools?
As far as the academic progress, we have 3-week notices that we call progress reports that go out every 3 weeks. It is live. The parent can access it at any time. They will see the grades as they're being entered. There is direct access to our teachers. We use many systems for our teachers to communicate with our parents and our parents to communicate with our teachers. We have weekly newsletters that go out. We also ensure that our parents know that it takes a village to educate and raise a child. And so our parents are welcome. They can sit in on lunches. They can come for breakfast with our students. They are invited to any extracurriculars. We have award ceremonies where we celebrate the small successes of our students so they can build their confidence as well. Our parents are invited at any time to be in our campus.
So this is not just a school where you're going through the routine. This is a school where everybody is involved from start to finish.
Yes, sir, it truly is.
Now, I haven't asked you this question yet, and we're almost done with this first segment on the first half of the show. But what has been your favorite experience so far? If any memory pops up right now in your head, what has been your favorite experience so far being at IDEA Public Schools?
I think my favorite experience is seeing the brand new students coming in and not having the confidence in themselves.
Yeah.
And a week or two later, they are walking differently. Their heads are held high, and they know that they can and they will succeed with us. We hear it consistently. I feel like everybody cares. I feel like this is my place and I feel I have a voice. And honestly, it is daily that I get to hear that 30, 40, 50 times. Wow. And when you see those changes, you know you're doing the right thing.
Because the reason why I ask that is because there's going to be parents listening to this and they might think, well, man, can my kid go to here?
Absolutely.
Or a kid might hear this and say, well, can I go there? Like, is it going to be too much pressure? Have you ever had a situation where a student or a parent were nervous? Because I heard you say that a little bit. But they just made that commitment, and like you were saying, you see them grow and they finish the process. What I'm trying to get at is, what are some of the things that people can do to research more information to not be so nervous about getting there? Because that's the hurdle right there.
And you're right. We're fairly new to this region, and there are a lot of questions that people may have. I would say that one of the ways is the IDEA Public Schools website. It is very comprehensive. It really answers many of the questions. And secondly, parents are more than welcome to bring their children to our schools, whichever one is closest to them. And we would gladly sit down with our families and explain and actually take them on tours.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah, and actually take them on tours so they can see the classrooms and they can interact and see from firsthand what our students are doing and observe our teachers teaching. And we welcome that at any time as well.
Well, before we wrap this segment up, I want to just thank you guys for hanging in with us for this first segment, but we will be right back on segment 2. We are talking to IDEA Public Schools and Miss Yvonne Anglada. She's representing IDEA Public Schools today, and don't you touch that iPhone or whatever device you're using, because this is iHeartRadio. We will be right back.
To Rockefeller's Barbershop. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will be blessed and be glad in Him. Today I want to introduce myself. My name is Rico Rodriguez at Rockefeller's Barbershop here in San Antonio, Texas, 1733 Babcock Road. My phone number is 210-782-5188. And again, we do walk-ins on Sundays. You are listening to I Am Refocused podcast on iHeartRadio. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Does your website need more traffic? Well, visit overflowcafe.com today. They make websites popular, and over 41,000 people use their service to gain more customers. They are winning our business. What about you? Visit overflowcafe.com today.
This is I Am Refocused podcast, and welcome back to the show. We are talking to IDEA Public Schools, and we have Miss Yvonne Anglada. She is talking about this great, amazing school that you want your kids to go to if you're in San Antonio. So welcome back. I have a question following up for IDEA Public Schools. Mm-hmm. Are there any misconceptions about your school?
One of the most common misconceptions is, are we a private school? Mm-hmm. And I think that has, because they see our students with uniforms. We are not a private school. We are a public charter school, and there is absolutely no cost to attend our schools.
And say a parent, they want to bring an older child to your school. What are some of the things that you all have in place to kind of ease that nervousness from that kid, because they might see the uniforms and say, "Oh, am I being punished? Like, what's going on, Mom, Dad?" What are some of the things you have in place to kind of break the ice?
Well, we definitely don't want our students to see this as a punishment, because it is definitely not. We do talk to our families of our older students, and we have a one-on-one conversation with them to ease their mind. Many times we've had, if it's a 9th grade student, for example, we'll have a 9th grade, 2 or 3 actually students that sit down with our students and to explain how we work and what it looks like. And we've had shadowings where our new students will shadow a current student and be able to not be apprehensive about the differences that IDEA Public Schools will have. And so we want those misconceptions to not be a deterrent for enrollment. And so whatever it takes, that is one of our core values, and we definitely live by it. Families are different, right? And so if a family is thinking, I want this because my child can't behave or has this problem, we definitely talk to them about that and make sure that we fill any gap that might be pre-existent there to ensure that they know exactly how we work.
So for the parents out there, any kid can come to this school.
Yes, sir.
Just know when you're going to school, you're going to a unique school.
Absolutely.
That's going to take care of you from day one when you walk through those doors.
From day one to forever.
And when it comes to this, how much is tuition? Very popular question. How much is it?
It is $0.
That's awesome.
Yes. Tuition is $0.
And tell us, what's some of the things that parents can do right away after day one of class? What's some of the things that they can do if they're still kind of overwhelmed and nervous about reaching out to teachers? What's some of the things that they can do to get over that?
Before school begins even, we've already spoken to all of our parents and all of our students. We have what we call Welcome to IDEA, and that is for our families that are thinking about enrolling their children in IDEA Public Schools. So we have Welcome to IDEA. We have registration. We have both of these activities are geared to ensuring that our parents and our students have the information that they need. We walk them through what does it look like? What does the uniform look like? Why is it important to have uniforms? Are there any services that we need to know about that we should provide for your students? What do academics look like? What is the homework policy here? What do they have to do in the summer to prepare for August? All of that is covered with all of our families. Should they miss the registration or welcome to IDEA, then we touch base with each individual family afterward. And so, again, the newsletter that I had mentioned prior also is a way for our parents to keep in touch with what's happening at our school. So every week there is a component that goes out from pre-K to 12 that goes to all of our families that says, okay, we've had our first week. These are things we saw. Do you have any questions? Here's my cell number. Here's our teacher's information. So there is complete accessibility for our families to ask any question that they may have at any given time. It's very common for us to say, if there's a problem that you see or encounter, if you don't tell us, we can't fix it. So we ask our families for feedback continuously so that we can continue to get better.
So the transparency.
Very much transparency, yes, sir.
And when parents are coming to, you have the standard parent-teacher conference to see how the kids are doing in class. And what are some of the things that parents can do to prepare their kids before making this choice to choose IDEA?
I think one of the best things is they could actually talk to them why they're choosing IDEA Public Schools, because, again, we're not centered on academics only. We are truly centered on the entire child, of everything that has to do with this child, all the way to attending and getting through college. And so becoming familiar with our schools, being okay calling us and communicating with us, and we have monthly tours that we set up for our incoming families to really find out about us and explore the possibilities that are truly endless at IDEA Public Schools, and not being shy about calling us and asking us whatever question that they may have. We also have many parent meetings where we educate the parent if they need to be educated. How do I help my students study after school? And so those will be set up throughout the year, communicated with the parents so that the parents feel comfortable. If they need a little bit help in any area, we're definitely there to help our parents in any way, shape, or form.
And that's a big thing, because parents won't feel overwhelmed. Like, man, you're in this great school, but talk to your teacher.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to resources for those parents to not just be comfortable with the kids going there, but to feel well equipped to help them progress at each grade that they advance. When it comes to them prepping for college tours, and when that comes into play, what are some things that they need to know about those activities?
When we have our field lessons, our college field lessons, the teachers are actually the ones who run these programs, who know their students very, very well. And so parent meetings, if it's a 6th grade field lesson, for example, there are 6th grade meetings for these parents where they receive all of the information, everything that a field lesson is. What does it encompass? How does it work? Do I want to be a chaperone? Do I not? What everything that is included is very well informed for all of our families. When it comes to study skills, the same. When it comes to awards, all of our parents are there, front and centered for their children as well. And so often, when children are 5 or 6, everybody shows up for their little activities. But when they're 13, 14, 15, it's not that way. So we always inform our parents it's just when they need you most. And so we are very inviting to our parents, and we schedule things where parents are available. We do 2 languages, so it's in English and in Spanish, to accommodate so that everybody feels welcomed and nobody feels left out.
And that's a good thing to ask. Parents are allowed to go on these tours with their kids, or they have to chaperone?
We allow parents to chaperone if they would like it. They have gone through the clearance process. They do have a clearance process that they need to go through. We don't have a lot of parents that accompany children on field lessons because we do want the student to actually be in the dorm with other students to have that full experience of what that feels like.
And that's great because when they see the whole experience and you said dorms, so they get to see the dorms as well on college?
Yes, sir, they do. And many times we have our students stay in dorms.
Really? Wow. I'm going to keep saying this, I wish I went to IDEA Public Schools because that's a very eye-opening experience for any child to go on a college campus. And just to experience seeing other kids going, well, young adults going, that has to spark inspiration.
It's very inspirational. We welcome you to come and visit us as well and to see more about our schools. And perhaps you could be a student for the day and actually see firsthand just how inspirational it really can be.
I would love that.
We'd love to have you.
And also with IDEA Public Schools, we're winding down. I hate to say it, but time is flying. But before we finish this segment, I want to get into what is this whole 100% college acceptance? What is that all about? Tell us about that.
Well, 100% college acceptance is our number one goal. This is where we are all invested, and that is what we're going to do. We have done it. We have done it for since our first senior class was on. We have had 100% acceptance to the schools of their choice for 12 years in a row now. It is not a myth.
And I can see that because where you guys start to prepare the students, that makes a whole difference because I remember when I was going to school, I didn't really think about college until my sophomore, junior year of high school.
I walked in the same way to college not knowing what I was doing, absolutely. And that's what we're trying to avoid and what we do avoid. The class of 2018 alone, this past class, there was more than $42 million in grants. And almost 4,700 college acceptances this year alone.
City of San Antonio must be very, very excited about this because what has been some of the feedback from city leaders or just
I don't think we could grow as fast as our city leaders want us to grow. Our regional director is, I think he probably is in communication 24/7 with city leaders here. We will be opening 2 new schools next year as well here in San Antonio. And we will have our first graduating class at Carver, IDEA Carver, next year here in San Antonio. Thank you.
This is amazing for IDEA Public Schools to be on this show because a lot of people need this kind of information. I mean, I didn't know all this existed for IDEA Public Schools because you've seen it in the media, but it's one thing to see it, but actually hear it in full detail.
Absolutely.
What's one thing a parent that's listening to the show right now, they want to think about enrolling their kid? What's some of the steps they need to have in place to get that handled?
I would say the first thing that all of our parents need to do is to just really go to ideapublicschools.org and find out a little bit more about us and then feel very, very sure that they can come to any of the schools that are closest to them and come to us, ask whatever questions they have, and rest assured that we will answer all of those questions and not only answer their questions but show them in live what IDEA Public Schools has to offer, and I guarantee them that they will be very, very happy with their decisions to bring their children to our schools.
And when they book a tour or set up an appointment to have a tour on the campus, are they assigned to a specific person or is it just one person that they filter through?
Our academic counselors are the ones who set up their tours, yes. Okay. So all they need to do is call the school. All of those numbers are also on our website, and our academic counselor will get back with them right away and tell them when the next tour is. And we will welcome them, and they will be walking around, going into the classrooms, and actually seeing what is so special about IDEA Public Schools. And they will walk out knowing exactly what we're about.
And you personally, being a part of IDEA Public Schools, what's some of the things you would like to see happen in the next 3 to 5 years?
I'd like to see my 6th and 7th and 8th graders that I have right now at IDEA Najim become these freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors that I know they will become, and to shake their hand at graduation and just to know and hear and live through all of their success stories that I know that each one will have.
And for that new student where the parents are on the fence right now to make that next move, to make that decision, what words of wisdom will you give that student when they finally when the parents make that choice and they walk in those doors?
After they make their choice? Your child is safe. Your child will receive the best education possible. Your child will understand what post-secondary education will do for them and their families. And you are part of our IDEA family, just as each one of our students is. And so we welcome you with open arms, and we are here for you.
And that really hits the nail on the head about community, sense of community. We haven't touched on this yet, but tell us a little bit about what is Healthy Kids here.
So Healthy Kids is an initiative that IDEA Public Schools began 4 years ago. We know that there is a problem with obesity, and we know that children don't exactly play outside all the time anymore. And so this is an initiative to make sure that IDEA Public Schools have the healthiest students. And so our lunch, our breakfast is geared to products that have whole grains and lean meats and vegetables and everything that a student needs, not only to stay healthy, but also to have the energy that is required of them. And so we want to ensure that our students have the foods that they need that will help them to be healthy and to have the energy, but also to develop a lifelong healthy process for themselves as they grow older. And so they're very tasty, I will tell you. We say whole grains and we say this and people go, oh, is this healthy? It is very, very healthy, but it's also very tasty. And so we continue to strive for Healthy Kids Initiative, and we will continue to do so.
So not only are you getting a great education, but you're going to be fed good food.
And free.
What?
And free.
So, really?
Yes, our students receive free breakfast and free lunch.
That's wow. Because how many times, I've seen it personally on the news throughout the country, not just San Antonio, but throughout the country of, kids wanting to get lunch, but they just can't. What is the reaction? Because I have to ask this question. What is the reaction with the parents when they find out that they go to the IDEA Public Schools, you have free breakfast and lunch? What's the reaction? Because that's huge.
Yeah, I really think that just is just one more thing that lets them know my child is being taken care of. And they don't have to worry about that. There's a sense of relief as well. And just knowing that they're safe, that they're going to be taken care of, that they're going to be fed is just a sense of relief. As a mom, I will tell you, I wish this would have existed when my children were in school, but it is definitely a sense of relief and the acknowledgement that their children are very well taken care of.
And that really kind of puts the glue to everything, because if you're a parent, you know your kid's going to be prepped for college.
Absolutely.
That's a check. Tuition is taken care of.
Yes, sir.
That's a check. Breakfast and lunch is taken care of.
That's a check.
That's a win-win situation for parents and their kids.
May I add one more thing? Mm-hmm. When they leave us and go to college, we don't stop there. We actually follow them through college as well.
So they still have access to you?
Complete access to us, yes, sir, they do.
And tell us a bit more about that. What kind of resources do they have access to?
We have all of our college counselors, which are abundant in our schools to help our students. They continue to have full communication with our students. If they are struggling in college, they are definitely assisted in whatever way assistance they may need. And right now we also have IDEA University that for students that may be struggling, may not be able to get to that campus, there is assistance. And IDEA University is fairly new, but is definitely growing and will continue to grow because our goal is the through college as well. So we don't end when they leave us as a senior. We continue. We want them to get that 4-year degree, and we are there for them as well for that.
Wow.
It's amazing. Definitely the ideal school.
Man, I was just about to say that, but seriously, on seriousness, IDEA Public Schools, I would say behalf of the community of San Antonio, thanks for what you're doing for the kids, because they are the future.
It is definitely team and family and the commitment of all of our staff, regardless of what their position is, to ensure that this happens and that we build our communities and our children for just a better future. And as cliche as that may sound, that is exactly what is happening.
And they have sports too, so you won't be bored out of your mind, kids.
That's correct.
You don't have
there's no boredom.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no boredom.
Exactly. And when it comes to sports, because I know the young kids are going to be thinking about this with their parents, touch again a little bit, how can kids and parents get involved, and parents help their kids encouraged to be involved in sports and activities? Yes,
well, we open sports for all of our students, and then they'll do their tryouts just like they do in any organization. The parents are the cheerleaders and the supporters, and there is no shortage of parents being out there and screaming and cheering on their students. And so we also, since we do have the no pass, no play, the parents know that academics come first. And so, but it is definitely it's a different playing area, right, when they're in sports. And so our students know that they are welcome to try out. We have many, many, many students that try out. And they also know that it is no pass, no play, so they keep their academics and their sports. There's a balance there to ensure that we ensure that the message of academics being essential are not lost, but that you can do both. And you actually could do 2 or 3 things. You could be the president of a club and be in sports and still keep up your academics. And so we actually help our students balance that out as they get older.
That's amazing. And not only are they getting a world-class education before college, I mean, you can't beat that. I just have to keep this very simple. You really cannot beat that. So if you're a parent in San Antonio, make sure you go to IDEA Public Schools and check them out. How can they find your website?
It is www.ideapublicschools.org/enroll.
Perfect. And before we let you go, any last thoughts you have for our listening audience, or just words of wisdom for anybody who wants just to do their homework more for IDEA Public Schools?
I would tell our parents that post-secondary education in today's competitive world is essential. And I would tell them that there are means for our parents to help them and to assist them to ensure that that message is loud and clear, and that we are there for them every step of the way. And so we are here to help our community, and I'd like to thank them for the vote of confidence for all of our children that are at our schools. And they're our future, and we don't take that very lightly at all.
That is evident. If you are now listening to this podcast and you just heard this episode today, make sure you share this with all your friends and family so we can blow up IDEA Public Schools all around San Antonio area, and just share the educational piece of this conversation, because I learned a lot, and I hope parents can take value in this and just take action.
I do too.
Get an enrollment, call them, visit them, get on tour, and once again, refresh our memory. How can they set up a tour?
All they'll need to do is call the individual school and we will get that information to our academic counselors, who will return to call as soon as possible and tell them when our tours are going to be. And they're held monthly.
Oh, monthly. So they don't have to wait till next year?
They do not have to wait till next year.
Man, did I say this was a win-win situation? You can't beat that. You cannot beat that.
You can't.
Any last thoughts before we wrap this show up?
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to have us here, and to truly, truly say that IDEA Public Schools, it doesn't get any better than that. That's why we're going to be in Tarrant County in Louisiana pretty soon.
Awesome.
We've just opened in El Paso, and in the coming years in Tampa, Florida as well.
Yes.
So if you have an idea, you need to go to IDEA Public Schools, and they will start you from the very beginning to the end. But really, there's really no end, because after you finish high school, they're still going to be there while you're in college.
Absolutely.
And when you are successful out of college, you too can pay it forward and go be an influence. That's what I have to say for the show. I want to thank IDEA Public Schools for coming out and being on I Am Refocused podcast. I want to thank Rico Rodriguez, owner of Rockefeller's Barbershop, for being our partner. And like we always say every single week on Thursdays, we never skip a beat. We always say keep God first, stay focused, peace, and book your next appointment with IDEA Public Schools and get on that tour and get your kids the best investment you can give them.